Hello guys, welcome to the new episode of BizTech Talk, where we discuss trends and tricks of business in tech or business and tech with our insightful guests, successful and ambitious guests like eNOugh. I would like to note that this podcast is proudly presented by Sincapp Mobi, your go-to partner if you want to create something incredible digital products. I am Jamal, your host, and as always, we're here to educate, entertain, and share our valuable insights on business. I would like to present eNOugh, dynamic, young, and beautiful entrepreneur. She has her product caught my attention, to be honest, with its let's say originality and uncommonness. I've never heard any product that is similar to yours, because in general these apps, mobile apps or some kind of service digital products, they have some similarity, but your product is so different from all of those. And the thing is that it addresses the problem that affects our lives. Like, I'm not talking about lives financially. No, it affects our lives, like in real lives. So, and we'll share the details and her journey, how she decided to start this product, right? And where she is now and where her business is going. So thank you for joining, first of all.
Thank you for having me.
Please, eNOugh, tell us a little about yourself, and then you can go into the product and tell us the reason you started that product and what your product is, because I guess everybody is very curious about that. So please, feel free.
Happy do I, yeah. So, hi, my name is eNOugh. I was born in Prague, Czech Republic, but my parents are Bosnian, and I moved to UK 6 years ago now for university, as most of us do. And ended up doing my bachelor's here, then moved to London to do my master's. And straight after master's started eNOugh, which is the startup we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, startup is called eNOugh.
eNOugh, yes,
yeah.
with a capital N-O, so we can be different than the normal enough word.
Exactly.
But we get old puns all the time. Like, people tell us, like, yeah, did you have enough of that coffee? And then, like, ha ha ha, enough. And we're like, yeah, maybe we should rethink a business name what we choose. But we thought it was very powerful as a statement, so that's why we chose eNOugh. Yeah. Go on.
Okay, your startup is called eNOugh, and once eNOugh tells about the product itself, and you can understand that the name, I guess, is perfect. Actually, it perfectly fits the product. All right, you can please tell us what is the product, what is your startup, and what was the reason behind the whole story, behind what was the reason why you started this startup, and what motivated you to build this startup.
So I'll start with the story, because I feel like that introduces what we're building in the best way possible. So I'll start at the beginning, and I'll tell that essentially it all started when I moved to London. First time ever moving to a big city. It can be very scary and intimidating. We don't know the ways. We don't know how everything works. And at the time, I just started my master's in entrepreneurship. And within the first month, they ask you to find a problem that you're passionate about, that you're in love with.
Okay, yeah, entrepreneurship. Sorry for interrupting. Can you tell me a little more about this entrepreneurship program? Because as far as I understand, this was the very pivoting point for you to start your business.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was the master's. I always knew that everything was kind of leading me to the startup world, but when I saw that master's, it was like I felt it was a perfect transition from my previously business-oriented bachelor's to something that I really want to do. And it's a very practical course. And I was like, I don't want theory, because I don't believe entrepreneurship can be thought through theory. I want it to be practical. And that master's was very much about like, go out there and do it. It's 1 year long, so I was like, this is perfect. This is like, my transition to London with this master's, it just made sense. And within the first month, they tell you, okay, find your problem. So everyone, like, for the first month has to identify what is the problem that they're in love with, and then they tell you that you want to be every day waking up getting excited that you want to be solving this. Like you're so passionate about solving this problem, and that's going to drive your business. So that's quite a lot of responsibility, right? That's a lot of pressure. And I remember at the time thinking like, well, you know, what is my problem? There's so many things I enjoy. Like I love sports, I play volleyball, you know, there was a period of time that I was looking into smoothies and all that. It was a lot of different things, but none of it was really like, that's the problem that I can see every day, like waking me up and like I cannot wait to be solving. So I was like talking to my friends and family. I was like, guys, I don't know what problem do I choose. We have like, you know, a couple more weeks before we have to decide, and then you spend the entire master's working on solution for their problem. So it's really important you get it right?
Of course.
And then sometimes in life, timing is everything. And one night I was going out for a dinner with a friend, and when I was returning from that dinner, it was through a safe area. I was walking home. It was 10 p.m., so not even that late. I get surrounded and attacked by 4 men on motorbikes.
4 men?
Yeah, 4 men against 1. Not really fair, huh?
And you are a young, small girl attacked by 4 men. Four. It must be frightening, terrifying, and stressful.
Yeah, exactly. It was like I felt almost like at the same time, like 4 against 1 is really not fair. Like I wish it was. I mean, that was the later on thinking about it, but when it happened in the moment, I'm a very, like, my friends that know me and my family, like I'm a very feisty woman. Like in the moment I was like, well, hell no, and I was ready to fight. They obviously were coming for my things. They tried to get my phone.
It doesn't matter how many men there are, I'm gonna fight.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, well, you've chosen the wrong person. That was the thought process that was going on behind in my mind at the time, but it happened so quickly. So there were 4. They were on the motorbikes, and the guy sitting at the back grabbed my phone while I was still holding it, and there was like, it happened so quickly, but in my head we were like fighting for that phone for a while. They started driving away, and I was still kind of holding on to the phone, almost like flying behind them. And they were starting going faster and faster. So I was thinking, if I don't let go, I'm gonna fall on the road and like destroy my legs, break them, or whatever could happen. So I was thinking, if I let go still now, while the speed is not too bad, I can still fall safely. And I play volleyball, so all we ever are taught is how to fall safely, right?
Exactly.
So I was like, okay, I let go, and I still scratch my knees because it's already quite fast. And then I ended up in the middle of the road with scratched knees, my things taken. Luckily, I lived 5 minutes away. So I got home quickly, blocked everything. And I mean, the possessions at the end of the day don't matter. Like the police came later and they were saying like, you know, I should have just let it go, the phone, the moment they were trying to take it, because you don't know if they have a knife, what could happen. But it was just the adrenaline hit me so fast in the moment that was my natural response. But obviously I was super, super, super lucky. But what happened because of that situation, the police first of all told me there were like another 3 people that had it happen within the same 10 minutes before me. So I was like, whoa, okay, there's definitely a pattern. And then obviously the next week, like I had no phone and stuff, so people were asking me what happened. So I kept sharing the story, and every time I would tell that to a woman, she would tell me back, oh, that yeah, I had something similar happen in that and that and that. And it wouldn't necessarily have to be like only phone snatching, but like crazy experiences of being followed home, being, you know, improperly attached on the tube, harassed, catcalling big time. So I was like, okay, that is actually crazy that every woman has a story. And how is that possible these days? Like, why? This is not fair. This should not be that way. And that kind of woke up the fire in me. Like, this is the problem. Like, I knew in that moment, like, this is the problem that I want to be solving. And then it came in the right time. So in a way, as horrible as it felt in the moment that someone can just like choose you as a target on a, like when you're just walking home and enter your, you know, private zone, your personal space to get something that is yours. It was still, I'm glad it happened in a way, because it then showed me that this is a problem that I want to stop from anyone else experiencing in the future. So yeah, that was the pivotal moment, how it all started.
You have incredibly strong story behind your business idea. And you see, when you shared this horrifying story, when you got attacked by 4 men and you had to hold on to your phone while the motorbike was driving away, you must be at that moment, you must be at your peak of adrenaline, where you're just gonna, you are ready to be dragged behind the motorcycle. Well, it is a crazy story. And when you tell this, you already told that most of women that you shared your story with experienced something similar. And I also experienced very similar story to that, and not only once. I also got my phone snatched when back in Istanbul. It was even it was at 7 p.m. or something like that, and somebody snatched, and I ran after them. And you see, as you said, like getting rid of the phone or like losing your possessions, it may not be, it's not important at the end, but after that incident, I had this worry. I always was like I felt this trauma, I guess. For several years I had this fear that somebody was coming behind me, and all the time I was like looking, and whenever I heard some kind of noise or sound, I was very, very skittish. And I guess this is really any kind of incident which is similar to this can leave trauma for several years and like have a negative effect on your life, quality of life. And your product will help preventing these kind of incidents. And please tell us more about your product. As I said, your eNOugh project is meant to save lives, like real lives. Hopefully. What is the product and what does it do?
So we're building essentially after the masters. I spent an entire year looking for a solution, doing a product discovery to find what is actually the product that can solve all the sub issues, because the general problem of lack of safety for women is very broad. There's a lot of underlayers of what that problem is, how it could look, what it can mean, what case scenario are we talking about. So it's super important that we develop something that can be applied in different varied scenarios, because no story is ever the same, no scenario is ever the same. So we are building a smart wearable badge that you can magnetically clip on your jacket or coat the moment you start walking. So it's about the size, you clip it on, and then it has a bunch of features that we kind of separate into so-called 3Ps to make it more simple to explain. 3Ps, which is prevent, protect, and provide. So the goal is that we always have to target all three of them, because it's like essentially 3 layers of what we can do to protect you before the worst. The prevent part is absolutely the most crucial part of it. We want to make sure that by you just wearing the product, it's almost like a deterrence wall. So when they see you wearing it, they know that there are going to be consequences, or that you're protected in a way with the device, so they should not even attack you. That's why we want the badge to be visible. There's also evidence collection as well included, and also protective features in terms of like if something does happen, how you can trigger alerts and react in the moment through that, and then essentially get you police when you wouldn't be able to get police. And because when things happen, everything's so fast, everything is so quick that you don't have time to call your friends and call for police and stuff. So we're essentially automating all of that in a way how we can get you the help the soonest, in the best, most efficient help possible, but at the same time do as much as we can before it even gets to that stage. That's why there's so many features that are active before. The preventing, that is the crucial part. And it's a piece of hardware, but it's also powered with our companion app, and there's also an AI component that we're working on at the moment as well that can increase the prevention and help in the moment as well. So it's a combination of different things, but the reason for that is because it has to be able to respond for different scenarios. So it's not like building one solution for one case scenario. Our case scenarios look so different. When we did our user journey mapping, the map was so big, and there are so many possible scenarios. Like, what if this happened? What if this happened? What if a group is attacking you? What if individuals attacking you? What if they have a knife? What if this? So there's so many different user journeys that we had to explore to make sure that the product is still relevant and super helpful in that scenario. And that was I feel like the toughest part of building this solution. But we're very confident that what we came up with is gonna hopefully deliver not just extra safety, but also like easier anxiety, because as a user you kind of know that you have something that even if something happens, it can help you subsequently or in the moment, or it can it can just make the difference when it matters the most. So yeah, but apart from that, it's also like you having that product and wearing that product, you're showing you're part of a movement, of the eNOugh movement, which is like, come on guys, like it's about time that our society, like everyone should feel the same level of safety when walking home. Like when I talk to my brother, he's 3 years younger than me, and like he tells me, you know, that he's walked last night from the club by himself at 3 a.m. and like for me that's unimaginable. Like I could not be able to do it, or he would not even let me. Like he would always, you know, take Uber. If it's 3 a.m. take Uber, don't walk alone, because, you know, as a woman we are more likely to be targeted, and that is crazy reality. So yeah, we hope we can change that.
Yeah, incredibly strong motivation stands behind this project. So so I understand that you wear this badge, and it is in times of distress, when everything is happening, you are at the peak level of your stress and you don't know what to do. It is hard to, you know, find your phone. Oh, okay, I'm gonna dial this, you know, the emergency call, or call somebody. Most of us, we lose everything. Like your mind goes blank and you don't know what to do. You freeze, or you can't even talk, let alone do something. And like there are of course some self-defense items that you can put in your purse or pocket, but I don't think that everybody can will be fast enough, or at that moment like calm enough to act in the way. But this one, you don't have to do even anything. Exactly. Because it's going to be proactive for you. And the best part, I guess, the prevention part, as you said, laying the foundation to your safety already. You just by wearing it, you already have some kind of protection. And feeling that, as you said, like anxiety is, I guess, that kills us all, you know. From within. Like you can't enjoy your walk. You have to like be aware of everything. Always, and that can be very tiring. Absolutely. And the feeling of safety, it can mean a lot for not only women but men also. Amazing, great product. Now let's get to the entrepreneurial part of it. Can you tell us the journey, what you had to do in order to validate this concept? What kind of research you did, and the next part, what did you do to find this solution exactly? And then what are you doing at the moment to go further on your road of developing this product?
So I was lucky in a sense that when I figured out the problem that I wanted to be solving, I then had a year of the master's that was focused exactly on building and figuring out and validating the solution. So I spent another 10 months like thinking about the solution every single day, validating it through different assignments. So there was one assignment where we had to go do a potential customer like validation. So I would go to like, I would speak to a lot of women. I would like ask you, so what do you do currently when you're walking alone at night? So what are the practices? What is it, the thing that you're most scared of? Like so like understanding really the behavioral aspects of like the problem. So I understand the user, like you have to understand the user so well when you're going to build for them. So that was super, super crucial. I also wrote my dissertation, my master's thesis on this, where I validated almost like it was on product discovery, like understanding how does the right solution look. And that's where I was testing, like, does it have to be a necklace? Does it have to be a ring? Does it gonna be, I don't know, an app in your phone only? Is it gonna be a belt? Is it gonna be a hat? And then understanding the reasoning why women would prefer one thing or the other, and what is that they're most afraid of, or like what could make the most difference. So that was super, super valuable, because like, first of all, I was completing my master's through that, but at the same time I was figuring out the solution for the startup that is then yet to be like after that I continued doing after the master's. So that helped a lot. But it's like, the one thing I learned is you have to go out there and speak. Like, you can't assume you know things. So I had to go speak to so many women to understand so many different perspectives. and that really made the difference. And also, like, apart from that, of course, so much research online. Like, I've read all the articles there were about safety, and yeah, it's just like you want to get as much information as you possibly can, and then once you have some hypothesis on what the solution you think should be, then you validate them.
Okay, great. Yeah, you spent so much time on the project, and I understand that, you see, most of the startups make the mistake of not researching enough the user, and then ending up with a product that doesn't really solve the problem. But in your case, you spent months and months researching what exactly users may need, and it's incredible. And I understand this entrepreneurial program of UCL, right, gave you incredible amount of experience and knowledge in terms of startup. Well, I guess I think that you made the best decision by enrolling into that program. and hopefully when we see your product worn by people for their safety, and that must worth it. And about, I guess you have a co-founder, right? Please tell us, how did you meet your co-founder, and why did you choose that co-founder and not other, and how having co-founder and partner in your business shifted the business in general, the management, and why you chose him or her, and what are your like strong sides that you bring to the table.
So the master's ended, I had my thesis, and I knew what the startup needed to be, and it was a hardware device. There was a lot of electronics involved, and my background is purely business. So my natural next step was like, okay, I need a technical co-founder, and preferably in the hardware space, because that's what the solution is. So the moment I decided to take the leap after the master's, because there was a period of time when I was like, do I go for it? Like, should I not get a stable 9-to-5 job, get some experiences first, and then risk it later? After like having that little bit of a crisis, I was like, no, this is the right time to take risks. And I just, in the gut, like my gut feeling was like, this is the time to do it. So the moment I decided that, I was like, okay, next step, co-founder. I need to find a technical co-founder. And I actually met my co-founder on LinkedIn. I researched so I filtered out on LinkedIn all the electrical engineers at UCL, because I was like, I might as well stay at the UCL. UCL has given me so much, so brings me good luck. And I checked everyone in the second and third year of electrical engineering, and filtered the profiles, went through them, and picked a few that I really liked, and sent them a message that that it's a startup out of UCL, and like if they would want to have a conversation, that I'm potentially looking for a co-founder. So I had interviews with a few of them, including my current co-founder is one of them. And initially, like the first interview we had, we just it went well. We clicked. He was really he was a perfect fit. But my worry at the time was like I could tell he's really good at interviewing. And I was worried that he is really good at like saying the right things, but like I needed to know the real him. And like when you're getting a co-founder, it's almost like marriage, right? You're like, it's so important. You have to be so aligned on so many things. And I was like, okay, I need to find a way to get to know the real him. So we ended up meeting up. We met a few times. There was like, I think in total probably 8 rounds of interviews. Something like that. It was very intense, but I needed to make sure there was like one technical one more like general, get to know each other, and then there was one when I wanted to know the real him. So I was like, let's meet up. We went for a bottle of wine, and I was like, we're gonna play a drinking game, and I had like a drinking game cards. And the reason for that is I wanted to see the real him through the stories. So there was like a question like, tell me about a time that you got almost caught by police, for example. And his answer was something along the lines, I remember a bit blurry, but it was that he was at a house party back in his, party years in France, and that police came, and that he was running away, and then he realized that his friends were still there, so he went back to get them because he couldn't leave without his friends. He didn't want to leave them behind. And in my head, I was thinking, team player, like that's loyalty. So like through those things, when he was like telling me about it as well, like how important his family is for him and all these things, I could see the real values that he had, and that like I still believe until this day that values and being aligned with the values with your co-founder is the most important thing. Of course, you're gonna have like disagreements, agreements and stuff, but like you have to be ultimately like value wise on the same wave, and we absolutely were. So yeah, it's been now a year and something that we've been working together, and it's been absolutely incredible. Like we're both so stubborn, but in a very good way, that we challenge each other. And it's always like we take an approach that like eNOugh, the business, is the baby, right? So we're gonna do everything that is best for the startup. Yeah, so it's never like who's right, who's wrong. It's more like what works the best, and we want the same thing. And then we also say this thing like, it's like whoever can present the better argument for what we should do than that's the reality. That's what we're gonna go for. So it's never like we almost like we have this, we are against the world. So it's not like we're against each other. And with that mindset, like we've just been able to work super smoothly, and we can really rely on each other. Like I know I can fully trust my co-founder, and I believe it's the same the other way. And yeah, he's super driven, and that makes me like as well always make sure that I'm on top of my game, and like it's just mutually we push each other. And then obviously he's the technical person, so it's so great to have the technical perspective on things, whereas I'm more like on the business side of the partnerships, on the other side, and it works well. Yeah, so far I mean it's been a very smooth journey.
Oh, glad to hear that, because actually the previous guest, he told me about the problems that he faced with one of his co-founders, and that they had to split, and it was very painful, despite the fact that the product, everything was going smooth, but the relationship wasn't really good enough, and that really staggered the business in general. And it can be like the crucial part of your project, and I'm really glad to hear that. But I understand that you made sure that you got the right partner, because you went through so many like people and profiles, and your co-founder had to go through 8 interviews, and I think that it's not luck. You just made sure you got the right guy, and that's great.
Yeah. And I think it was also perfect timing for him, because he told me then that also like in those months he was looking to start a business with his friend, but they were like talking about it, so he was already in that mindset, right? So like it, in a way, it like him thinking about starting a business kind of probably attracted the luck or the right direction, that I happened to reach out to him just at the time when he was looking for a business. Like those are crazy coincidences. And then also like we had so many things in common super quickly, like from crazy things like we were supporting Lewis Hamilton in F1 to like both speaking Spanish. So it was like it just made sense. And yeah, after working for a few months together, he ended up dropping out of his master's, which for me was like, wow, he is dedicated. Like that was the ultimate commitment to the business, because he was top of his class, and his master's is one of the best masters at UCL. He was incredibly smart, and like that's a big risk. And for him to take that decision and then like drop masters for eNOugh was like just even further cemented that like, wow, he's like not 100% in it, he's 150% in it. So yeah.
Oh, look at that. And you before podcast you mentioned that he was very young. Yeah, he was very young, and he was doing and dropping. I would say it's an incredibly big decision to drop out your masters from UCL. It's not from like any kind of masters, but from UCL to commit to this project. So he really must believe in this project, and I guess it's partially because of you. You made him believe that. You made him believe in that, probably. Nice. So wow. Okay. As a trick, I understand that if you want to find a co-founder, you can find it on LinkedIn by like searching the profiles that you think fit to this, and like running interviews, like writing to them, reaching out to them, writing to them, and that way you can find a co-founder. It doesn't have to be in some kind of program. You just found from LinkedIn.
I mean, there's many different ways. I've heard people meet their co-founders, very happy co-founderships. So this is definitely not the only way. This happened to have worked for me in that, yeah.
But it's one of the ways.
Absolutely, yeah. But I think that what is the most important, that you want to look at it. You don't want to look at it as recruitment, because like I feel like then we tend to look more at the technical bits and like what can they like bring skill set wise, tool set wise to the table. But ultimately, the co-founder has to be, in a way, a person that is going to be your best friend for years to come. You're going to spend way too much time together. You have to really like get along with them as a person, as a human that they are, apart from the skill set. Like the skill set is obviously great benefit, and my co-founder is incredibly smart, technically like super, super capable and everything. But like if we didn't get along on a daily basis, it would affect the workflow, it would affect like how fast, how ambitious we can be. And it's like so important that the person that you choose, you can rely on. So I feel like above everything, you just want to make sure that they're in a way your best friend, and then they got your back. Because the startup journey is like, there's so many lows, there are great highs, but like it's so at times like full of anxiety, full of like uncertain things. So like you want to have someone that is going to go with you through that like craziness of it all. And yeah, because like technical skills, it can be learned, and like you're going to end up recruiting people afterwards, right? But this is the person to go to war with. So that's how I would look at it. And it doesn't matter where you meet them, but as long as you feel that connection, yeah, that's how you know.
Oh yeah, great insights. Thank you. Now I would like to learn a little more about your, as you said, there are so many lows in startup journey, and I would like to hear a little more about the lows, like lows that you felt really strongly, and how did you go through them? How did you navigate through those low parts, and what were the mistakes? How did you manage those mistakes, and what did you learn from those mistakes?
I think mainly it's the beginning, when you get the biggest of like, first of all, beginning is when you get the most doubt, because like you're just starting off, you're still like not 100% sure if it's going to work out. You're like committed, but you're always like, well, at some point, like if things don't go well, you might have to go back to 9 to 5, get a job and stuff. So it was like the beginnings are very tough when you have to like keep pushing, and there's not many results you're seeing at first, right? It's a lot of work, but nothing comes back. It all starts coming back a bit later. So like sticking through that time, I feel like it's absolutely essential of like not giving up, and just like continue to believe that it's all gonna, then eventually the results are gonna start coming in. So at the beginning, we like fundraising, first time fundraising ever, is tough because you don't know how it's done, how it's like, you've never done it before. What's the best way to do it? How do you even approach it? You learn so quickly, you make so many mistakes, but that's a challenging time because you don't know if you're gonna be like able to achieve it. And then like it's a lot of figuring out. So the thing for me that has worked is just like, no matter what was happening, I was just like, I kept believing. I was like, I know deep down, like gut wise, that this is the right thing to do, so let's just keep going and it will happen. And it did. So yeah, I feel like it's just you can't stop. You have to continue going, and you have to continue learning, because the moment you're just going but you're not learning and you don't feel like you're like constantly improving, then something's probably wrong. So yeah, that's how the first kind of the initial days, definitely not days, more like months were.
Okay, yeah, right, of course. I mean, every founder that I heard, they do specify and stress this out, that perseverance, perseverance, no matter what, because in general, as you said, there are highs, but you see it, but they are rare. They come later. Yeah. But before that, there are so many lows, there are so many unknowns that you have to go through, and it's always hard to go something that you don't know and that you have to figure out. Yeah, well, I guess this is without this, no business will succeed.
Yeah.
For example, okay, right now you obviously have way more experience than at the beginning. With your experience and with your level of knowledge at the moment, what would you do differently at the beginning rather than what you did?
Good question. Yeah, I mean, there's one core thing that always stands out for me that I know we kind of didn't do well, or like it took us a while to figure out. When we just started fundraising, we had a very like a soft approach. We were going into fundraising with very like, we would be grateful to like, convince you, and like almost like, it would be super lovely if you believe in us and give us money. And like we figure out at some point that that's not the right approach. No matter how, like, we obviously believed 100% in our business, but you felt this like, you were first time founder, first time fundraising, so you wanted to be super humble. You were almost like shy. I don't even know how I would call it shy, but like you were just like, the energy that was coming out of you, they were like, we would so appreciate if you invested. Mm-hmm. Then we figure out, then that's not the way. You have to be so fundamentally like giving out an energy like you're going to build a great thing, that the investors feel it. And once they feel it, they're so much more like intrigued, and they're like want to back you. So we started being like the approach, like the mindset. It was more like inner mindset it was our mindset that had to change. That was more like, we know there's going to be a success, so they either get on board now and like ride with us the success, or like, it's a pass. So it's like not that we have to like convince them and start like, we believe this, you're in or out. Are you in? And then they feel the energy, they feel how much driven you are, how much you believe in it, without even you having to like convince them so strongly. And that made a huge difference. So like you have to approach investors as like, there are plenty of investors, so even if like you don't have to see every investor like we must get them, like, or get her, get him. It was more like, we know we're gonna do everything there is to happen, so you're in or out. And it was a game changer when we started, like when we changed that approach. And like, but it's like, it's a very, like, you have to be very careful, because there's a thin line of being like cocky and arrogant to investors, which is absolutely not good. Like you always have to be like humble. They have so much more experience than you do, and like, but at the same time you have to come in like super confident, you know what you're doing. They cannot for a second see that you're like having doubts, which is normal for some founders. So sometimes you do get doubts, but never show them. So yeah, that was the main learning once we changed that mindset. And yeah, that was just things started flying.
Wow, it's really great to hear that. Well, it is, I guess, hard for people who are at the moment in need of money, because they need to produce, they need to develop their product, and it is hard to get to that mindset where you see, I know, okay, you're in or not, but because you feel that you need that, you need their money in order to, you depend on them, but to give, despite that fact, to give out your attitude that this product is going to succeed, and you are lucky. You will be lucky to invest in this. So exactly. This is the thing that you need to. This is the message you have to give. Oh, nice. So fundraising, I guess, is one of the most challenging aspects of any startup, any business. And I'd like to hear a little more about your journey, like really practically what you did. I mean, first I did this. First, to reach how to reach out. Second, where to reach out, or what you did, like step by step. I think it would be very useful for people to know what they can do, and to hear like exactly your actions, because I guess you got your investment, right? And it's amazing. Congratulations. And I know how much effort it takes, and incredible. Congratulations again. Please tell us what you did and what you advise other startup founders to do.
So we were networking so much before that we started raising. So, but almost like without, at that time we didn't know it, there was no agenda. We were just like, we were trying to surround ourselves with so many people that were much further than us, people that have worked years and years in the industry, were experts, and we wanted a lot of advisors. So we started with a lot of advisors that were with us for months and months. We kept in touch. They were advising on things. They saw how much we work. They saw how, that there were not many weekends that we didn't work, and that it was like always like so dedicated. And then at the one point when we told them like, okay, we're going to start fundraising, they actually ended up investing in the business. But what we then realized, it was because they saw us, they saw the dedication month in, month out, without us even thinking about them as investors. So they kind of gained the trust, and then invested. And then once you have few investors, then they make introductions and you meet other investors through them. So we have like, that's literally how we went from one angel to another angel. And a lot of times it's just a lot of outreach. Like when you're fundraising, you kind of live on this adrenaline, like every day, like you just like outreach, fundraise, reach out people, talk to people, pitch them the idea. And I mean, there's so many no's on the way, obviously, but every conversation you have, there's a chance that person that might recommend you to someone, or put you in touch with that and that, or like tell someone else about you, then reach out. And that's how people started like piling in bit by bit. So you don't see, again with this, it's like you don't see the results straight away. They start coming back in a bit. So it can be frustrating at times. But we also did a lot of pitching competitions. We have, I think because of the problem that we're solving, as a powerful message behind it in terms of the story. And also like the way we would frame it is like, you don't have to be a woman feeling this pain, but like as a father, as a brother, as a boyfriend, as a husband, you naturally care about the safety of your loved ones, right? And that was the message that we were going with into most of the investor meetings, pitching competitions. And once people relate to the problem and they feel it in their bones, when you tell to a father, like, would you want your, like, imagine your daughter happening something to her. There's no father that would be like, I don't care, I don't want to listen more. Like, everyone listens. So that was super helpful when it came, like, the framing and making it to investors understand the pain even if they feel safe, right? And so yeah, we did a lot of pitch competitions just because of the storytelling. It really helps. And yeah, we got a lot of people from that were just in audience, and then they came to us and were like, yeah, I would love to know more, can we jump on a call? And that's how we kept going. And yeah, some investors took more months, some were super fast, 2 meetings done. So yeah, but it was very like, it's months but you live on pure adrenaline, like, because you're like constantly thinking about it. It's so constant that once we finished adrenaline, I was like saying to my co-founder, like, it feels weird not to be fundraising. Like, you're so almost like, you get into this mode of like, you're so like, you know, outreach, fundraise, that once it was over, I was like, oh, this feels weird now. Like, I almost miss it in a way, even though I was super excited that we were moving into a stage when it's like all about the product. It was still like a come down from, you know, from that era of a startup, of that race. So yeah,
it feels like you enjoyed the journey
to some extent.
All right, to some extent, of course. So okay, I understand that fundraising journey is not a quick one. It's going to be a marathon. It's going to take you a while, because you have to build some kind of awareness about your product, about your company, right? Among the investor community. A lot of networking, pitch competitions, networking with founders that could open up you to new opportunities, or to other people. All right, so yeah, outreaching, networking, pitching. Okay, yeah, this is the way. So you have to, exactly.
Also talking to a lot of other founders. So not just focusing on investors and like angels and all that, but like sometimes founders themselves, if they're quite further down the line, they invest, or they can be scouts for other venture capitals, but also they are so heavily involved in the network. And because every founder had to go through fundraising, they might know the people. They might have bumped into an investor that invests in personal safety, but it wasn't relevant for them at the time because they're, I don't know, in health tech. So then they would be like, oh, okay, well, I can connect you because I met someone. So like founders are great because they are so involved in the network and they meet people constantly. Then they might have met someone that they can introduce you to. So we've spoke to a lot of founders, a lot of great people, great founders gave us introductions and recommendations, and that helped massively. And like the beauty of the startup life is like founders are so willing to help each other because we go through the same pain and through the same crazy journey that it never feels like we're in competition with each other. It's always like we're all like fighting the outside of the world. So everyone is so willing to help, and like as a founder you feel it, and then automatically you're so inclined to help others. Like we're like, it's the first things when I meet someone who's like, I don't know, investing in agriculture, I'm straight away thinking like, oh, who do I know who's building something there to make connections. And I feel like it just helps to have founders are super helpful.
Right. Founder community, be in this community. Absolutely. Feel this energy, and I guess anybody from that community or society can open you up to something that you've never imagined. Absolutely. That's great. All right, so if there isn't any kind of NDA, can you tell us what organization or VC invested in you and how long it took for them to invest in you, and what were the like most crucial points and the reasons that they decided to invest in you?
So our investment is led by a VC from CEE region. I'm not going to mention the name just yet, just because we're going to make a public announcement hopefully soon. And it was, so when we started fundraising, we didn't want to raise VC money because we were like, we're quite early. It makes more sense to do angel round and then VC will come later on. But somehow things changed, and we've got actually approached by a VC who invest early stage startups, because VCs usually invest once you have a bit more traction, and as a hardware, like, we needed the capital to start building. So we got approached by them, and then they invest early stage and in a very purpose driven like ideas. So we're like, okay, let's give it a shot. And we really like them as well, who they were as people, because sometimes there was a lot of like talk in the startup world that, you know, VCs can be brutal, and like we wanted to make sure that we like them, and we really did. But because they invest so early stage, that meant that the due diligence was super thorough. So we went through like almost close to 2 months of like a lot of questioning, checking everything. Like, they really checked our business inside and out, every number, every percentage we had. It was like, where's the reference to that? Like, how did you get that research? What were the users you were testing with? What are your projections? But like, can we talk about this and that and number? Like, super in depth. But what surprises the most is like how much they wanted to know about us as the founders. We were flying in to meet them in person. And we were like, me and my co-founder were the night before prepping all the like technical information. Like, we, you know, bought the prototypes, and we were like, you know, what if they ask about the chips, the battery life, or like these things. That's what we thought the meeting is going to be mainly about, and we were like prepping for that and stressing for those questions. Then we got to the meeting, and they were like, okay, so we're going to talk about you. We really want to know the two of you. And then they started asking us, they asked us like, so like, are you two dating? And we're like, no, we're not. And then they were like, well, were you ever romantically involved? So it was like, they were really digging, and we're like, no, we were like, we're purely co-founders. There's nothing. But they were like really like wanting to understand our dynamic, the way we work together. And I mean, we do get that asked a lot, because like a male and a female building a business, so we get these questions all the time. But then but then they were asking like, so what do our like separate partners do? They were asking what, like, you know, our partners are, where they work, what they do as a work, you know, where they are based, and like very like a lot of personal questions, like what our parents do. We also get asked what's the one thing we hate about each other, me and my co-founder, and what's one thing that we love about each other. Like what was our last fight about, and things like that. So it was very like about our dynamic, which we were surprised, but it makes total sense. Like, I could understand that coming from that meeting, that was like, they need to know who they're investing in as a people, because investing so early stage, like, so many things can go wrong, and things do go wrong, right? There's no guarantee for them that everything will go the way we're like hoping it to go. But what they can influence is the people they invest in. So they wanted to make sure that they like us as individuals, that we like were their idea of the ambitious founder is the, you know, that we had a good dynamic, that we're not going to have a co-founder breakup in a month, and really check what's the thing that drives us, you know, what made us the way we are. And I, in a way, as sometimes weird and awkward the questions were, it also was nice to see that they care about that side of us, because that really shows that they invest for the right reasons and for the people. But it's always a funny thing to look back at the, you know, the kind of crazy due diligence. Like, we would be getting messages at 11 p.m. like questions about like our market sizing and stuff. But yeah, so it was super good experience to go through. A lot, very stressful, but yeah, great experience.
Amazing. Yeah, you see, most of the time, this is the first time I hear that VCs question you about your personal life. And it's good to know, because, you know, I guess founders have to be prepared for this too as well. But, you know, that if they're raising funds at the very pre-seed stage and at the idea stage, it is good to be prepared for this kind of questions as well. Okay, very good. So I guess you also mentioned that you have like angel investors, and you, let's say, in your main, like, your priority user base, user target users are women. Yeah, and you mentioned that you tried as well. You tried like outreaching to female investors because of the product, and how did that go?
Yeah. So we started fundraising, and at some point we realized that majority of our cap table investors were male. And as obviously building a female-centered product, that didn't sit quite right with us. We were like, this is, first of all, there's lack of diversity in investing as well, for like, there's just not enough women, but everyone we were getting introduced was mainly males. And in a way it made sense, because like the way we were framing it is also like they were looking at it as like they want to protect, right? Provide something, like help to invest in something to help protect. But we really wanted a female investor. And like I personally was like talking to so many potential like female investors, and they would at the end, like they would get excited about the product at the beginning, but then at the end they would be like, but I don't invest too early, it's quite risky for me. And like as a female founder, I was getting so frustrated by that, because I was like, I want, like, women need to be there, like I want more female investors, but they were so like afraid of the risk of early stage. So that's what I was like, you know, getting a bit more, not like disappointed, but I was like, I want a strong female investor to come into the business. And like, and then the last investor that kind of joined the round ended up being an absolute brilliant female investor. And I was like, okay, it made sense. It was like we were looking for the right type of mindset. So it was more like those people probably didn't want to invest, you know, when it's still early stage, but like it just takes to find that female investor with the right mindset, that she's not afraid and she's you know, ready to back. And so I was super happy that happened. But there was definitely times when I was like, you know, like there's a lot of male investors out there, like let's get some females in the conversations. And so I was very happy about that.
How did you reach out to your female investor? How did she end up investing and getting on board?
So at the end, I was only reaching out to female investors once we had pretty much the entire majority of the round done, and we just needed one more investor. Okay. I was focused on that, and I was telling everyone like in the network that we had, like, we're looking for a female investor. Can you connect me with like female investors? So we actually got introduced through our VC, and we had a one call online. We really like bonded well, like it clicked. She was absolutely brilliant. I was starstruck. And then she flew into London. We met her in the morning for a coffee. My co-founder actually had to change his flight ticket to come early because he was 3 days in France for doctors or something. And I told him, like, I called him and I was like, okay, she's coming into London. Change your flight. Like, you have to be here tomorrow morning for that morning coffee. So he did change his flight. He got here. We met her for the coffee, went for a walk, and after the walk she was like, I'm happy to invest, send me the papers and I'm ready to go. And I was like, wow, like this is cool. Like she was a proper like badass female investor, and so I was very, very happy about that.
Incredible. So you got what you wanted at the end. You fought for it and you got it. Amazing. This is what entrepreneur should be like. I mean, like aim, goal, and and get it. Incredible story. Okay, now I guess, like, looking into future, where do you see eNOugh in 5 years, and what is your vision for the future of this startup? And not just in terms of like financial aspect, and of course that's very important, but in terms of your I guess motivation. Where do you see it in 5 years?
Well, in 5 years, we hope that we can be protecting as many women as we can. And if we can make difference just in one female's life, that's already like, we feel like we've accomplished what we wanted. So in 5 years, we want a badge to be like a thing that you see on the tube and you know what it is. Like, it becomes so like known and embedded that you recognize the shape and you know it. And it's almost like when you go on a night out, it's automatic for every woman to get a phone, wallet, keys, AirPods, and eNOugh badge. So that's where we want to be in 5 years. But it's a long journey. There's a lot of obstacles on the way. It's a hardware as well, so hardware is so much more tough. So who knows? But all I know is that me and my co-founder are going to do absolutely everything in our power to move it forward and to get it to a position that we can start protecting people.
Well, judging from from your journey that you already gone through, I see absolutely no reason that this shouldn't happen, you know. And as you said, for example, me personally, I would have this badge just to feel safe. It doesn't have to be. You don't need to be attacked. You don't have to be attacked. Yeah. But this feeling, but this feeling of safety and this calmness, I think it is priceless. So, what I would, I guess, as like closing point, what would you recommend, like one thing that you would recommend to entrepreneurs or startup founders to do, like one thing, like one action. It can be action or it can be a mindset. So yeah, one advice, one recommendation.
I think surround yourself with the right people, not just like, we're not talking about co-founders and all that, but like people outside of the business, because the startup life, you get very consumed. Like you're constantly thinking about your startup, like day and night, all the time. And it's so important sometimes to be able to go away a bit from that and like spend time with your friends that like don't care what you're building, don't care what you're doing on your day life. They just want to like, you know, grab a pint with you, go play some volleyball, or like really like are there for you. So like whenever it's like it's too stressful in the business, like for sometimes what really works well for me is like I can just absolutely disconnect if I go with that like group of friends that I know we can just like laugh all the time and not like we don't have to talk about business, because you have to make sure to have that like recharge and have that balance of like that not everything is about the startup, that you have that kind of like the other side as well, because it keeps you grounded, it keeps you focused, and like it helps you in the moments when you really don't want to be thinking about the business. So
yeah, great advice. You see, everybody, in general terms, startup founders and entrepreneurs, they give advice about how to build the startup and what to do in order to be successful there. But yeah, the other part, I guess, when you overlook the other part as well, you can get burned out, you can get unhappy. Okay, you may have a successful startup, but if in the end you are not very happy, then why do it? So yeah, thank you very much for your incredible stories. We loved it. I loved it, and as it related to me personally, and it kind of made me feel, how to say, I anticipate your product now for myself as well. You see, yeah, and I really hope to see this eNOugh patch in general public, knowing them, and just putting this attitude that we're trying to fight this unsafety society or unsafety part of the society. I think it's going to give a huge message, not just to prevent or protect yourself, but it also holds this very important and strong message. Thank you very much for coming. You're welcome. Yeah, I think it was one of the most interesting episodes, really, with very strong motivation and very strong like values. And as I said, it's a very uncommon product, but with a huge reason to be out there. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for listening. I'm sure you've got incredible insights and advices on how to raise money, and knowing that the problem is everything in your entrepreneurship, in your startup. All right, thank you guys. See you on our next episode.